Hello, how are you? I am back again and today I have a real and a fake Louis Vuitton bag and I want to show you the difference between the two. I thought this might be helpful if you want to learn more about luxury goods and also if you're trying to authenticate a Louis Vuitton bag. Okay, let's get into it. So first of all, here is the real Louis Vuitton bag. It is the Louis Vuitton Bellevue tote. And here is the fake Louis Vuitton bag. I have no idea what it's called. And yes, I did buy it knowing it was fake. But don't worry, I only spent £2 on it. I bought it for this video, basically. Okay, let me show you some differences. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is the two labels. The top bag is obviously fake. The bottom bag is real. If you look at this label, they've done a few things right, but they've done a lot wrong. You can see the bottom line of stitching has 2 layers of stitching. You can see that the edging is really bad. It just doesn't even look like it's been done very well, and also the leather quality looks really poor. Whereas the real one, you can see it's much more beautifully stitched in. It looks just really like somebody's cared. The embossing is a much more fine and intricate line, and also the leather looks really nice quality. There's a really beautiful patina to it. So there are the two side by side again, top fake, bottom real. Okay, and while I have the bag open, I just want to show you the lining. So I will give this fake a little bit of credit because they have tried to do a fake Louis Vuitton lining, which, you know, fair play. However, you can see it's really cheap, it's really shiny. It just doesn't look nice. It just looks like a really cheap piece of fabric with fake Louis Vuitton monogramming. Whereas the real bag doesn't even have any Louis Vuitton monogramming, but you can tell it's real because it's really well stitched in, and also it's a really nice quality cotton drill. And I think a real key takeaway here is that a real bag doesn't always have monogram lining and a fake bag doesn't always have plain lining, which is not something you would necessarily expect. Let's move on to the next point. Okay, so this one might be a little bit harder to see, but you can see that in the patent leather, we have the Louis Vuitton monogram. It's embossed, so it's quite subtle. You see it more in the shine than anything, but here is the LV, here is the LV. You can see more LVs down the side. And Louis Vuitton famously never cut into their LVs. So whenever there is a seam, they always make sure that the seam and the cuts fall on a different piece of the monogram. So as you can see here, it falls into this part of the monogram and the LVs are here. On the base, again, no LVs are cut into. And even the sides here where there's quite a lot of stitching and there's 3 seams to match up, again, no LVs are cut into. Whereas you can see on the fake, we've got some LVs cut into here. There's a seam going over here, there. This is not very nicely matched up, so that wouldn't be how it is done on a real one. And again, here you can see more LVs have been cut into, and again on the top. And this honestly would not happen with a real Louis Vuitton bag. So that, my friends, is your next red flag. Okay, now let's move on to the leather. So Louis Vuitton are known for having their coated canvas bags with the leather trim. And even though there's not a huge amount of leather on most of their bags, they do use top quality leather. So if you look at this bag here, this bag is actually 20 years old, but you can see the leather is still very, very beautiful. It's got gorgeous patina and it's just a high quality piece of leather. Whereas on this bag, you have got leather trim, but it is really cheap leather, possibly even pleather. And it just doesn't look good. It's kind of stiff and cardboardy and horrible. The stitching has been done quite crudely. The edging has been done really bad. There's actually paint on the leather and there's more signs of errors here and here. It's just not very well done. Whereas this bag is 20 years old and still looks beautiful, and you can just tell it was done with pristine precision. Precision? Does that make sense? Anyway, let's go on. Next up, this label, just very cheaply done, very cheap leather, just very plasticky and gross. As for the hardware, I am going to give the fake one a little bit of credit here because they have tried to do the press studs and the press studs actually look pretty good. If you compare the real press studs to the fake press studs, there's actually not a lot of difference between the two. However, this is a bit of a giveaway. On the zip pull, you can just feel it feels quite crudely done. And also the zip pull is more of a gold, whereas the hardware is more of a brushed brass. Again, the hardware should always, always, always match. So I'm just going to quickly show you the zip pulls side by side. So this one, they have actually made an effort to make it branded. However, it's quite crudely done. It's not very nice to feel. And also it's a very yellowy gold, but not in a good way. Whereas this one, you can see it was a much nicer shade of gold. And also, even though it's tarnished over the years and some of the gold has started to wear off, you can just see that it is still really nice to touch. It's really smooth. And also the Louis Vuitton, which is marked in it, is a really fine, intricate line. And it just has so much precision to it. Whereas this looks a bit, I don't know, homemade and cheaply done. And then finally, just a few more points. You can see here the printing is quite uneven. You can see here it's not very well done. It doesn't look like a very nice print. It's just not that good. Whereas you can see on the real bag, even though it is 20 years old, even though it is fairly well worn, you can just see that it's really beautiful quality, really lovely leather. The hardware is all good. The lining is really lovely quality. The label, beautiful. The leather, it's aged beautifully. The stitching is all completely perfect. And over here, I just want to show you that this bag has never actually been used because it has a cheap fake tag hanging from it. And even though it's never been used, you can see that the hardware is actually starting to discolour already, which is quite impressive. So yeah, here are the two side by side. This one is obviously fake. This one is obviously real. This one is new and never been used. This one is 20 years old. And you can just see the difference in quality. It's just such a world away. So there we have it. The fake is actually not the worst fake in the world. It's definitely not the best fake, but it's not the worst. They have done a few things quite well. Like, for instance, they have made an effort to do a monogram lining. The press studs are pretty good. And there's plenty of branding in it as well, like the zip pulls. However, the finish just isn't there. The quality isn't there. And there is quite a lot of errors in terms of like the leather trim. The leather trim, what a red flag. But I hope that has been of help. I hope it was of interest. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to see any more side-by-sides, again, let me know. If you have any questions, I'm here. Let me know. Ask me. And as for the Bellevue tote, I really love this bag. It's got a lot of Y2K charm and it's also a really good price. You can generally pick these up for around £300 to £350, which is a lot cheaper than the Neverfull. And I really love the way it's painted leather because most of the Louis Vuitton bags are of course in coated canvas, so it's nice to see a painted leather bag. And after 20 years, it's still looking pretty fantastic. You can see it has been worn plenty, but it still looks great. Anyway, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.